feel like all of you should just take turns walking through the background while we ignore you. And do something like stupid the whole time. This is a serious thing. Yeah, this is a serious thing. I just fucking told you to do that.
Alright, start your video.
Alright. Hey guys, this is E-House from Gun Gamers, and I am here once again with my good friend,
the BB Warrior.
So yeah, if you haven't heard of his channel, solid dude, go check it out. Link is in the description. And also, you clearly haven't been paying attention. We've collaborated and hung out like a million times. So, but today we have a subject that we're going to talk about where it's kind of a bit of constructive criticism back to the industry. And it's going to be something that we kind of feel needs to be addressed. So we're going to talk about kind of gimmicky, useless features on airsoft AEGs, and maybe ones that you should focus on instead if you're shopping for high-end stuff. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, because there are a lot of companies out there that make products that aren't going to improve your experience, they're not going to improve the quality of your gearbox, and there are really just a lot of useless products out there in airsoft.
Yeah, so let's start off just by one of the features that I actually went on a huge rant about right before we started. Can we talk about QD motor grips? Can we talk about the fact that every company seems to be trying to reinvent the wheel with the AEG motor grip? Like, oh, it's got a hinge, or you can squeeze a lever and pull the whole assembly off. And all I could think to myself is,
why?
Why? Like, to quote Chester Bennington, this thing might as well just be saying, I'm about to break. Fuck it, it's gonna break. It's gonna break mid-game, it's gonna break all the time, and it's not gonna work.
Well, because you have more parts that are gonna move, more crappy plastic parts, because the companies that do these aren't these super high-end companies. It's just more things that you have to worry about. And how often are you taking your motor out? I mean, unless you're just burning through your motors, there's no sense in having something like this.
Yeah, if you're burning through your motors, you have a problem with your gun that no amount of QD airsoft breaking shit is gonna fix. So just stop with the QD motor grips. I get that everyone thinks they're a good idea, but once you evaluate the risk versus reward ratio, especially considering the manufacturing quality airsoft is pretty much known for, don't bother. Just put the fucking screws in and stop.
Yeah, there's no reason to have it. And while we're talking about something that there is no reason to have, why don't we talk about the Valken battery stocks? Now, these are something that they kind of pushed pretty heavily at SHOT Show 2016, and I was kind of blown away by it, because I was just like, well, what's the point? If you're unfamiliar, so instead of having your battery that goes in the stock itself is your battery. And,
oh, yeah.
And this is made by Valken. And Valken is...
G&G experimented with this too. Yeah. They had their handguards that were a self-contained battery.
Yeah. Well, I trust G&G more with this than Valken, but Valken...
Oh, yes.
Valken doesn't choose the best people to make their products for them. So you have this Valken battery, which will die on you, like more than likely. I mean, they do make them, they actually still make them today, but they are going to die on you because batteries die. That's a part of airsoft. So instead of taking out your little buffer tube lipo or your 9.6 nunchuck, you have to take the entire stock off and put a brand new stock on your gun. And knowing, again, going back to the quality that airsoft is known for, especially Valken, cheap plastic that creaks, and that I do not trust that at all. It just seems like over-complication, like Eric said earlier, trying to reinvent the wheel.
ICS had a similar concept that they experimented with, where there were actually contacts on the rear of the crane stock, so you would just drop in an assembled battery, and there were no plugs. Well, needless to say, it never caught on, because it's dumb, because then you had a contact wire that was along the stock. And that's going to corrode, that's going to short out. It's just unnecessary complication for the thought of, we're going to simplify this one thing at the cost of complicating everything else.
Oh, isn't that progress?
No.
Always moving forward.
Yeah, so integrated, like, furniture batteries, just no. Again, and they always require proprietary chargers. So God forbid you show up to a field and you forget your charger, you're screwed.
Yeah, you're absolutely screwed. Or like going back to the stock thing, and you were talking about G&G, on the G&G AKs it's like that. The handguard is your battery. So batteries are easy to carry. They can go in an admin pouch, a general purpose pouch, your pocket if you don't have any of those pouches. You're not going to carry a handguard. You're going to need like some big dedicated backpack on you, and imagine that in the middle of the game. Guys, give me a minute, I got to change the furniture on my AK.
The worst one than this though, by far worse, is the Sistema battery system that they unveiled on their recoil Sistemas, I believe it was, where the battery goes in the magazine. So you need a different battery for every single magazine.
Well, that's how the ICS grease gun was. The ICS grease gun, which only had mid-caps, I believe. The battery...
Yeah, because the battery has to go in there.
Yeah, because on a grease gun, they're just so minimal that there's nowhere to put a battery, and they couldn't have just said, oh, put a mini lipo in the pistol grip or something. No. Your battery has to be a contact battery, so when you insert it, just like the other one that Eric was talking about, the contacts meet, and that's what makes your gun shoot. That's in your magazine. So it's like,
and it's got exposed contacts out, so those are going to corrode because, God forbid, you play in harsh conditions.
Yeah. So I mean, every time that you and plus the mags are probably stupidly expensive, like gas blowback mags.
Yeah,
so,
for an AEG.
Yeah. Oh, guys, my battery ran out of juice. I can't use this magazine anymore.
Yeah. So let's stop with the magazine-mounted batteries.
It's time to stop.
Yeah. Here's one that seems to get a pass, and it doesn't irritate me so much as it confuses me, but it does irritate me at one point. I'll explain. Functional bolt catches. I genuinely think functional bolt catches are one of the strange things where everyone else seems to think they're the coolest thing, and all I think is, this is really dumb.
Yeah.
Because, I don't have to hold my hop-up back I don't have to hold my dust cover back to adjust my hop-up anymore. That's not that hard. How frequently are you adjusting your hop-up?
Yeah.
And then when you take the gun apart, that's another piece to work around. And raise your hand if you've never been able to get a bolt catch to work again properly after taking it apart.
Never.
It's just so many finicky tiny
And the
parts.
other thing is, it's just adding more complicated parts, and if you are buying this from a company that doesn't offer replacement parts readily available, if you break it and you want that function gun, well, good luck. Between either, Crytek and VFC, their systems are completely different specs from each other. So, let's say you have a VFC and you have to remove the bolt catch or it stops working. Well, good luck trying to find another one, and you're gonna have to go to these weird airsoft websites that sell those little tiny parts. You're gonna pay triple the price of the actual piece for shipping.
At least.
Yeah, at least if they even offer it, because a lot of companies don't offer spare parts for the stuff that breaks.
Yep.
They're really a pain in the ass. And while I personally like them because I'm lazy and apparently I adjust my hop up often, they're really a lot of added complication to a gearbox, and for techs, that's one more thing that they have to worry about, and as players and consumers, that's one more thing that you have to worry about breaking.
And it adds cost to the manufacturing of the gun. So, I don't know. I'd rather they save whatever cost and just stop with the functional bolt catches. Again, this isn't one that I get super angry about because it doesn't ruin the gun, but I do genuinely think it's dumber than people like to acknowledge.
But my realisms.
Yeah. That's my favorite thing. Oh, when you hit that bolt catch, it goes forward. That's so realistic. You have never shot a real AR-15 if you think the dust cover of an airsoft gun going forward is realistic. And speaking of which, I have another gimmicky, useless feature. Pneumatic blowback.
Oh, God.
G&G, ICS, I think Lonix had a series of these, APS.
KWA.
Well, that's ERG. That's a little bit of a different system.
Well, I mean, even airsoft gas blowback guns, I don't care how realistic you say that your gun feels, you've never shot a 308 if you think that your 308 gas blowback gun feels like a 308.
Like it. No.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if you have a 22 cal conversion in it, but even the hardest, the Western Arms or the GHK AKs, they feel like 22s. And I mean, if you want to live in your own little pretend world where you think that's realistic, go right ahead. Spend your money however you want.
The handling is realistic. You do get a bit of a recoil impulse, but that's better than, like I was saying, pneumatic blowback. Because pneumatic blowback is like the system where just the dust cover moves because of a puff of air from the gearbox.
Yeah.
It makes a loud noise, which I guess some people like.
Yep.
Yeah, but generally speaking, again, it's unnecessary complication, and even worse is the piston-driven blowback.
Oh, those,
that isn't. It's not like the ERG system either. It's again, just the dust cover moves because of the piston. Because then that's just wear on the gearbox. At least the pneumatic isn't a bunch of extra wear.
Yeah, and I mean that's just more moving parts that make things more complicated. It's really, I mean, it's cool for marketing, which is what a lot of these things for.
Yes, they're for marketing.
It's for marketing, and it's to make your gun seem different. But think about it. Is this thing that you are paying a higher price for because someone had to sit there and engineer it and make up the blueprints and make it and put it in your gun, as little as it is, there's a lot of time that goes into that. are you getting anything out of that? Because you are spending more money because there's more investment from the company. Are these little gimmicks worth your money? And oftentimes they're not. I mean, the extra money between a combat machine versus a combat machine with blowback.
Not worth it.
No, not worth it at all.
Worth
It's like an extra $40 for a little piece of plastic that goes back and forth.
Not worth it. So I don't know. I think those are kind of my main offenders, but that's a lot. It's just it's little stupid things that get really heavily pushed in marketing, and you notice it because reviewers will always go out of their way to mention it because it's like it's the gimmick of the gun. It's the way they try to set it apart. But ultimately, our point with this is that a lot of these gimmicks aren't reflective of a quality product. So you need to look at other things when you're making the purchasing decision. And I did go on a bit of a rant, but the thing is, if a gun has any of these gimmicky features, it's not necessarily a deal breaker. You can still buy a gimmick gun. Maybe you like it. Maybe you like it more than I do. But look for other things instead. Look for quality OEM replacement parts or compatibility with the aftermarket. Look for the availability of magazines. Look for the price to performance ratio. Make sure it shoots within your field limits. Make sure it has a decent hop-up unit right out of the box because you don't want to be replacing that immediately.
I think something that could be seen as a gimmick that could be good for your gun are things like an easy to access stock to get your battery in and out. Like I have a Crytek stock.
Crytek stock, the PTS stock.
Yeah, like going on a little back in my day tangent. The PEC box batteries, one, they'd always break off your rail system, and you'd have to like tape them on, or like the B5 stop mod style stuff.
Oh yeah,
those things are they're obnoxious to try to get the battery in and out of if you've ever done that. So, like a quick change battery or an easily accessible battery. So, like again, Crytek, PTS, the 416s, the QRS stock from VFC. I think on the way of hop-up, I think rotary is becoming the standard.
Yeah, rotary is the standard. You could even argue that that's a little bit of a gimmick, but it does really adjust very easily and allow for very fine adjustments. So I'm going to give that one a pass.
I think I'm going to talk about Crytek real quick because we own Cryteks. While you can't get as precise on a Crytek hop-up, it clicks into place, and that's important because your hop-up isn't going to walk, so you're not going to get more or less hop as the day goes on.
That's a gimmick that's not so bad.
You can't get that super fine hop up on there because again
you can get as fine as you need for airsoft purposes.
I mean,
really.
we're shooting plastic pellets, and there's wind and other variables. So I think that's one of those kind of like marketing features that are great on it. But I mean, there's a lot out there in airsoft that is designed to take your money because that's the point of a business.
Well, yeah, but businesses make money.
But it's not always going to help or improve your gameplay as a player. So stay vigilant. But just make sure that you guys are, when you think you want something, like you want that Spartan helmet receiver that you're probably going to stab yourself on when you reload, is that money that you're spending? Those things are stupidly expensive.
I mean, airsoft is about looking cool.
Yeah.
So I guess if you think a Spartan helmet lower receiver looks cool, good for you. I've got one last bone to pick. Quick adjust springs. Quick change springs, I get. Where you can quickly change the spring in and out. Quick adjust, where you turn a screw and it changes the spring tension to adjust the velocity.
Yeah,
that's one of those things where, who even really wants that?
Yeah, like I get that there are some systems where that's a given, like HPA. That's a given because it's very easy to do, especially if you have like a Wolverine and you have the Bluetooth FCU. But on an AEG or something like that, I just don't get it. And I think something else I kind of want to go on a tangent on is in like the Cryteks or the Avalons, or I think even the Honey Badger type guns from Ares have them. Everyone calls them a quick change spring system.
Oh yeah, but it's not.
You still have to take the gearbox out of the body of the gun.
I do still like that feature because it makes the gearbox easier to take apart when there's no spring tension.
I like that because you don't have everything shooting out the back. But at the same time...
But people do act like you can just reach in and change it.
No, quicker change spring, but not quick. It's not quick by any means. You still gotta take your buffer tube off, take the entire gearbox out. It makes things simpler, but just the way that people address that really... And it's all because of one person. All because of one person really popularized that, and that's just the way that it's been. And that... I wish more people would say it's quicker, it's not quick. You still have to take a bunch out of your gun.
Yeah. I think the quick one right now is the Vector. Has 2 pins,
Yeah.
pull out the spring.
Yeah, that
that one's really simple.
That, or I believe some of the saws do as well, like the A&K ones, but
yeah. All right, so I think that's about it for us. A little bit of a rant, you know, just kind of having a go at some stuff in the industry in an entertaining fashion, hopefully, and hopefully you enjoyed it.
Yeah, stay woke.
Yep. So I'm E-House.
And I am Lane, the BB Warrior.
Praise Judy.
Praise Judy.
God damn it.